Bruce Jr., and on behalf of Bruce Sr. and Christina, I want to again welcome everyone for coming, especially those of you who have come from far distances to be here today. We have guests from Florida and Louisiana, California, Virginia, Connecticut, and of course, New York and New Jersey. It's amazing how far some people are willing to travel for a free meal. But we have multiple generations of Dakotas here and numerous members of the Kidd family. Of course, Christina's two sons, Kyle and Lenny, are here, which is great for me, just what I needed, more brothers. But we have cherished friends and neighbors, and my dad's employees, some of whom have been working with him for over 25 years and are more like family. And I also wanted to mention some people that we wish could be here to help celebrate today, including Grandma Rita, Grandpa Al, Grandma Betty, and Granddad Warren. And a special shout out to Uncle Al, who fell sick before today. We hope for the best for him, and we wish he was here as well. You know, growing up in a family with 5 kids seems normal at the time. But as you get a little older and you start to realize what a struggle it is for people to raise 1 or 2 kids, you begin to appreciate how insane my dad must have been to want 5. And so, Dad, I first want to thank you for being such a tireless father who always puts his kids, his employees, and his patients ahead of himself. He's had his own practice for 42 years, up until just a few months ago. And there's a legion of patients around New Jersey who have come to know and love Dr. D, as he's called. He's been many things. He's a son, a big brother, a doctor, a boss, a father, a coach, and now a grandfather. But if you ask my dad what are the most important things that have happened to him, he would say his 5 kids, his 2 grandkids, and the dozens of cousins and nephews and nieces that he's come to know and love. And I can honestly say, I've never met a more genuine, selfless, hardworking man. But you have to get up pretty early to accomplish all that he has. And my dad is the earliest riser I know. In fact, he got up at 5 a.m. on Friday just to be here. But whether it's working on stuff for his own practice or organizing things as a department chair at Jersey Shore Medical Center, Dr. D is always up at the crack of dawn to get the day started. And I have vivid memories of him waking us up early as well. Whether to do chores, like when he would wake us up early so we could weed the garden when we lived in Wall Township, or some of his more spontaneous awakenings after a rainstorm, so we could go on the driveway and pick up all the earthworms, so we had fresh bait for our weekend fishing trips. But getting up that early to be productive comes at a price. This man has fallen asleep for the second half of every movie he's watched in the last 25 years. To this day, he still does not know that Bruce Willis was dead the entire movie. But don't try to change the channel just because you think that he's asleep on the couch. Because even though his head is back and his mouth is open and he's snoring, as soon as you reach for the remote, his dad alarm will jolt him awake and he'll tell you that he's still watching it. But no matter how busy my dad was, he always made time for all of his kids. He has proudly and lovingly attended hundreds of practices and games. And growing up, he coached our baseball and soccer teams, even though he was still working 60 hours a week. And not only did he coach those teams, but he also sponsored them. Right now, there's an army of people around New Jersey between 38 and 44 years old who have multiple generations of sports t-shirts that read, Dr. D's Weezers. And he loved the name so much that he used it again every year. But he was also the legendary cross-country coach at St. Catherine's School. And for over 12 years, he sacrificed his time, which was great for me because it meant that I had to be on the cross-country team whether I wanted to be or not. Raise your hand here if you've ever plodded through a 12-minute mile while your dad was barking at you through a megaphone to pick your feet up. because the rest of the team had already finished.
It sounds like abuse.
My dad is a true mentor, whether it be for his kids, friends of his kids, his employees, or even the doctors who work for him. Dr. D is always available to offer guidance to those he cares about. And although he is a great mentor, he's also the king of giving unsolicited life advice. And my favorite example of this happened to me when I was getting ready to ship out to Villanova for college. We just finished packing the car, and we were getting ready to leave, and he sat me down and he said, "Bruce, my namesake, my favorite child." He said, "I want you to do 3 things at school. I want you to work hard, be yourself, and have fun." Which would have been fine if that was the end of his sentence, but he continued. "But don't have too much fun, because you are going to come across girls who are going to be willing to do the things that you've been watching on the internet." And as a wave of flushed embarrassment washed over me, my first initial thought was, God, I hope so. My second thought was, why have I never once deleted my browser history? But while I wholly expected to receive a lecture about why I was the reason that our shared family computer always had a virus on it, instead I looked over at my dad and he had a gigantic smile on his face. And it was from that point forward that I realized that my adult relationship with my dad was going to be just as fun as when I was growing up. Now, after college and after his divorce, he bought a house in Point Pleasant, and he and I had the pleasure of being roommates for a few years. He lived on the top floor, and I stayed in the finished basement. And although neither of us really knew how to cook or clean, and we butted heads a lot, I cherished those days because it gave me the chance to become friends with my dad. But his routines persisted, including getting up way too early. And one summer, he had broken his foot and had to use crutches for a while. And he decided that when he wanted to wake me up at 5 a.m. to tell me something, or to give me a list of chores to do, instead of calling me on my cell phone, he just stood at the top and he launched a crutch down the stairs. Which, if you've never tried it, is a terrifying yet efficient way of waking up. But he woke me up like that every day. And at the end of the summer, all it cost him was a fresh coat of paint on the walls. But eventually he grew tired of waking me up like that, and he kicked me out and he met Christina. So how did these two meet? For years, some of Christina's family members have been patients of my dad's. And exactly 6 years ago today, Christina and her cousin Tracy were at a restaurant in Brielle, and they saw Dr. D walk in and they invited him over for a drink. Of course, 1 drink became 2, and 2 became 6. And eventually, they made their way out to the dance floor and they danced the night away. And at the end of the night, I guess he decided that it went well. He wanted to give her his phone number. So he pulled out one of his patented old man smooth moves, and he slipped her his business card. But as many people here will know, those cards do not have his cell phone number on them, or his home phone, but just the office line. So I guess his intention was that she call up and make an appointment. But seeing this, Christina decided to write her name and number down on a napkin. And although for all those who have known her whole life, she goes by Chris or Chrissy, she had had a few drinks too, and she drunkenly wrote down Christina. And for the last 6 years, we have been calling her Christina every day because we thought that's what she liked to be called. Just added to the list of her positive qualities that this whole time she never had the heart to correct us. But the next day they got together, they went for a run, they played some tennis, they went on the boat, they had lunch. Things they used to do independently, they were now enjoying as a pair. And these two have been together every day since. They bonded over their similarities. They both love to exercise. They both love the outdoors. They both love Metamucil before meals. They love to share each other's reader glasses. And they both are lucky enough to have last names that have weird double letters in them that no one can really explain it. But they both love to laugh, they work hard, and they do anything for their families. Dad, you found someone who is beautiful and kind, smart, compassionate, and talented. And unions like this one give me hope. Christina, the unconditional love you have for my dad means everything. And for that, I love you. The best part coming up. And Dad, you have shown me the most important thing in life there is to know. How to live your life as a good person, with faith and love for family and friends. You know, they say that love is not gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction. So I'd like everyone to raise your glass and please help me toast this lovely couple to many, many more years of sitting at the end of the dock, gazing in the same direction.
The favorite.
Round of applause for Bruce.